Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture with these rogues in the building. The Lord of the Radio himself, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
Hey, ho, ho.
I'm your host, Michael Dolce. You can catch this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/Rogue Matter and download the podcast wherever podcasts are available. How you doing, sir? It's a good warm-up, right? We had a good warm-up to the show.
No, we did not have a good warm-up. Don't bring up the warm-up.
That's only because I, as much as it looks like we were in the same room, we are not, and I need to reach. But I want to reach across and just I want to like masseuse you tonight.
There's no. I'm not even touching that one. No reaching across. Everything is fine.
Not in a Deshaun Watson kind of way, but in a totally legit way.
Don't do it.
We've got a great show because we've got
a
Rogue Report. Going to give you the latest on what's happening in.
Who makes the show great? By the way, like what makes a show a great show? Like everybody says that at the beginning of every show that's ever been done since the history of shows. We got a great show tonight. When have they ever come on and said, "I hope you like what's going on"? Because
you know, it's funny. I think Conan O'Brien said that in his last airing. He's like, I've come in and lied to you many nights, saying we have great shows, and we've never. So
that's what I'm talking about. That was his last show. Like it takes your last show to be able to admit the truth. Like show's probably gonna be a little mediocre tonight. But
here's what I will say to that. I honestly feel like every show we are going to try to give you a great show.
Yeah, but then nobody ever says that. It's the words you use. It's not the words you intend to use or the words you mean. It's the words you use, right? So, like, if it's like, well, we hope that you're going to enjoy the show tonight.
What is it? Listen to what I say, but don't hear me? What's
It's very different from we got a great show for you tonight. But okay, like, look, it's already over. We're doing it. So
do. I think we legitimately have a really great show though tonight.
You might be right. You could be absolutely right. I don't know if you are though, but you could be absolutely right. This is
why I think we have a great show. We got the Rogue Report, which you're going to talk about Key to the City #3, which is awesome. Not the one I wrote, but it's on roguematter.com for free. Free stuff is good, right? That's a plus. B, we're going to talk Eternals because we both saw the movie. I saw it today. So
how do you know fresh. I saw the movie? You do not know whether I saw the movie or not.
We'll find out if you did. I definitely did. So I will. If not, look, I will literally just take up the entire airspace talking about it. Totally cool with that.
I'll pay to see that.
Will you now? Because I have a paywall now. You have to pay to get. We're instituting a paywall. Like
I'm all for it.
In the middle of the show. I don't know how we would do that actually. And would we get like my mom would do it? My mom would definitely. She would be like, "Well, if I gotta pay, I gotta pay." You know.
Well, all right, then as long as we got the one customer, then maybe we should go for it.
Justified.
Yeah, we should definitely do it.
But also, we've got a new Stranger Things trailer that just dropped.
That's okay? That constitutes a great show?
I don't know. Stranger Things,
it's going to make us great?
Like
I mean, but does that make us great? That's the question. Like, I keep asking you that same question.
No,
like,
we're just naturally great at this. Like that. Thought that was pretty obvious, right?
No, I don't know.
Are you suffering from some self-esteem issues right now?
I don't know who you're talking to
about
automatically being great. No. There's a difference between self-esteem and self-delusion. A big difference.
Potato, my man. Potato.
Yeah, all right. There you go. That answers every question you could possibly ask. Okay, continue. Let's go.
Stranger Things 4. We got a brand new trailer of the hit series. The trailer gives fans the biggest glimpse at some of the most exciting footage. I don't know if it's that exciting. From the highly anticipated fourth season with an emphasis on the series' breakout character, 11.
Is it called a trailer or is it called a teaser?
The article I saw called it a trailer. I think it's a trailer. I think it's a full-on trailer. I do.
So it's a genuine trailer. It's not a teaser.
Trailer, yeah.
So we had like 2 teasers and now it's a trailer. Now we got a full trailer. I think I would call this
a trailer. Yeah. I mean, we can.
No, I mean, yeah, but I'd like to know whether is it a trailer or is it like a publicly considered a trailer, or
let's go to the Google.
It looks like it's a trailer. It looks like the YouTube machine is calling it a trailer.
All right, see, there we go. It's officially
all right.
A
So
trailer.
It's not a teaser. So we had, like I said, we had 2 teasers and a trailer.
Yes,
that's what we had.
Yep.
All right.
And when we last saw 11,
what a misuse of allocations right there.
She was taken in by the Byers family, and they moved away from Hawkins, Indiana, to California in the hopes to escape the chaos. Which, by the way, I agree with 100%. Like, I mean, if S keeps blowing up, underneath your house, it's time to move. It's like if your house is haunted, I would move.
But she moved with the Byers. Then
Yeah.
why was she writing Mike in the trailer?
Mike.
But I mean, she moved with them, didn't she?
No, with the Byers. That's with.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting that Mike is not.
Right.
See, that's how long it's been since a darn show has aired. I forgot Mike is not Winona Ryder's son. I get you now.
I sense a
no sign of Winona Ryder nor Will, the much beleaguered Will.
No, he was there. He was there. He just looks super old now.
He looks like 42 years old. He looks like a trucker.
Super old now. Yeah. No, he was there. I saw him. He was like right next to 11. Yeah. No. He's absolutely
That's terrible. I think look. I'm sure the show is going to be great, and I will be there to see it. But I think they ruined the show, and what I mean by that, because so that I don't get roasted, is that there's no excuse for why it takes so long between seasons for Stranger Things, for 9 episodes, not even a full 10 seasons, or 10 episodes or 13 episodes, right? So there's no reason why it should take that long for you couldn't do 9 episodes per year. Right. So now all these kids, I don't even buy these kids are in high school anymore.
Right.
We're in 90210 territory now.
But that was my question.
With Ian Ziering, who is supposedly 38 years old, and he's in high school running around. It doesn't make any sense anymore to me.
That was actually my question to you off air, and that's something we'll throw out to the audience as well, who are streaming us right now on YouTube and Facebook. At what point do we get to the 90s? I think the show you had determined the show started in 84.
Shouldn't get to the 90s,
right?
No, I don't know if it's.
No, I know. We were just talking. We were trying. I was like, hey, what year do you think it was? And we were just trying to determine between the two of us. I'm not saying it's a declarative.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go by the pop culture, then it couldn't have been that much longer after 1984.
Right, it had to be like 85. The first season had to be like 85.
Maybe 85, 84.
And they were in what, 6th grade, maybe?
Yeah, I don't even know.
So if you're looking at 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you're looking at 1988, potentially for season 2. No, season 2 was like right after, theoretically speaking, right?
Yeah, it was supposedly like next year.
Season 3 theoretically could have been 8th grade, so it could be 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, right? We could be into 9th grade now, so it's a 4-year jump. So I'm thinking we're in 89 by the time that she gets to California and the Byers get to California.
They'd have to be by the way they look.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I mean, obviously, but you wonder if they're going to do that.
The first
time
season
jump.
took place in 1983.
83, really?
Mm-hmm. Which doesn't quite make any sense because Ghostbusters in 1984, and they were dressed as Ghostbusters. Now, I don't know if they were dressed as Ghostbusters in season 1 or season 2. That's a good question.
It was season 2.
Was it season 2? Yeah, for the So okay, so yeah, 1983 then.
Yeah, all right.
So you got a good 7-8 years before we get to the 90s there.
So
I don't know. Were you in the rush for the 90s?
We're figuring it's 87 then. Okay, so it's still 80. It's still an 80s bound show.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the whole premise of it, right? That's why they started so early in the 80s. Why do you want it to get to the 90s?
Because they look so much older now. So I'm wondering if they're doing.
They don't look that much older.
At what point does this season actually take place? And logically, then, since they've been technically doing a year, like it'll be their 9th grade, but they don't quite look like in 9th grade. They sort of do, but they sort of don't either. Anyway,
I mean, look, COVID is responsible for the delay,
sure,
and I get that,
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like they rushed the previous seasons out, right? Season 3 came out like 3 years, I think, after season 2. I mean, we were still in Manhattan when the first season came out. We were actually a discussion about it. So there's a lengthy patch of time in between seasons.
Let's see.
And I don't see what the excuse for that is. I don't see.
No, actually, no. So season 1 and season 2 were actually 2016 and 2017. Season 3 took 2 years.
There you go. That's what I said.
And now I thought you said between season 1 and 2, but sorry.
No, I said I don't. I said I know there was at least 2 years between season 3.
Okay, sorry. I thought I heard 2. And then now this will be 3 years, but you would think it's got to be COVID related, right?
I don't know. 2 years doesn't make any sense. Why does it take you 2 years to make 8 episodes?
I like the fact that season 3 was a huge turnaround from season 2. I wasn't as happy with season 2, so maybe the time off actually helped them.
Oh my God! All right, you're part of the problem then. I mean, whenever you accept less, a longer time taken to give you less, then you're justifying it. So there you go. That's you. You're the one behind it. It's fine.
I am as long as it's good, I'm willing to wait. If I wait,
that's not necessarily true. I've had several arguments with you about like how long it takes X, blah blah blah. We just had that conversation about Dune and about how long it's going to take for the next season, for the next movie of Dune to come out, and that you're not even going to be interested because it's 2 years from now. It's the exact same time of wait between Stranger Things and between seasons. So obviously, that's not true. You're not being truthful.
I'm not.
You're being disingenuous.
I'm not being disingenuous.
You're being disingenuous. If it takes, you're saying, what is that? Was that Latin term? Sat si, sat bene, right? If it's done quickly enough, if it's done well, right? That's supposedly your attitude. Then obviously, if Dune 2 is a brilliant movie, then you don't care how long it took between the two.
I exercise my worry about it based off of I used Casino Royale into Quantum of Solace as an example, where so much.
Well, there
time
you go. How
passed.
come you don't apply that to Stranger Things then?
Well, it's TV. TV is a little different. TV has
natural.
natural.
Oh my God!
breaks
You and
in
your
it.
caveats. All right, never mind.
Well,
All
no,
right,
but look, it's a different medium than movies.
Next subject.
What do you mean next subject?
Next
I'm giving
subject.
you.
Next subject. Because it doesn't make
blanket statements from me.
That's nonsense. That's nonsense. Like you don't stand by the conviction. Like you make a statement before. You made a statement a week ago. I remembered the statement. I'm talking to you. I apply that, and now you're just giving a loophole. Yeah. Well, obviously I was, I was drinking, Blue Moon that night. Whenever I drink Blue Moon, I have a completely different perspective on things than when I don't drink Blue Moon. So you should have factored that in.
How did you know about that?
I know everything. I know everything.
That's my Blue Moon disease.
Yeah. You need to get a cure for that disease.
For it. Don't worry.
Oh man, that's not cool. I apologize for that then. Obviously, if you're getting help for that, then it's insensitive of me to mention it. Anyway, I don't care what you
can
say.
be in 12-step programs for a lot of different things. I'm just saying you can.
Anyway,
my humor with you. It's hilarious. That's that unmitigated confidence that I have.
Yeah, delusion.
Either way,
unmitigated delusion.
It all works. It all works.
That's according to you. Yes, of course it works.
So, but just to tell you what I meant by that, though, is I can have a genuine concern prior to the next movie coming out. But as long as the next movie is good, then I have no problem.
But here I am saying I don't see what the point is of taking too long between seasons, especially when one of the premises of your show is adolescent kids growing up in a town, whatever, and then they're going to be in their 20s by the time season 4 comes around, right? And so in the process of me saying that, you try to take this altruistic view of like, well, if it's done really well, I don't care. But then the whole point of you shunning a movie last time is because of how long it's going to take for the second part to come out, which is the exact amount of time.
I said it's a risk. It is a risk, and it could
obviously not. Obviously not.
It is a risk.
Obviously not. If it's done really well, then it's not a risk.
Then the risk was justified.
Well, then why would you wouldn't do something unless you were confident that you could pull it off really well, right?
That doesn't mean you will, though. You might be confident. I'm confident in my jokes. That doesn't mean they're always going to be funny. They are always funny.
Well, yeah, no, they're not at all.
See,
you're right to be you're right to be concerned about the quality of your humor. But anyway,
so
fine.
One thing about this trailer, though, too, before we go to break,
we're not talking about that anymore.
One thing about this trailer that I thought was interesting. Aside from are we gonna get a time jump? Is this gonna be like 5 years later? Because that'd be kind of cool.
Better be, because they're like they're in college now, right?
My point. Yeah, no, maybe maybe they will adjust on the fly, which I think
isn't Mike like an investment banker now? Like that's what that was like what the trailer was about, right?
Yeah. One of the other things I liked is it didn't talk about David Harbour at all. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like, it gives us a little, it kind of had his, when she's making the little diorama with the sheriff, obviously that's in reference to him. But it's
thought that was Freddy Krueger.
I
thought it looked like Freddy
I thought
Krueger.
It was a sheriff, though. You thought it was Nightmare
It was probably the sheriff, but I thought it looked like Freddy Krueger.
Here's the funny part. A lot of times, talking about confidence, I feel like I'm sitting there going like, man, I totally missed something completely. And then I find out I didn't. Maybe this is one of those instances where I'm like, no, I think I got this one right.
As long as every moment of the show is you self-aggrandizing, I think it's fine. I think we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
As long as we're in greens. Here's the question.
I didn't say we agreed. I said as long as you're self-aggrandizing. That's all. Go ahead.
Are you excited? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not even going to bother.
I'm
not even bother asking. Are you excited for Stranger Things 4? Let me ask you a serious question, though.
I'm giving you a hand gesture.
Let me ask you a serious question, though. Is the lack of, or is the space of time between, does it diminish the show for you in any way, shape, or form when you do actually when you do watch it? Because you had that happen between season 2 and 3. Did it diminish your response to it when you watched it?
It does. In terms of
like, does it have to overcome more?
Let me answer. Can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, then. Thanks. It does. Because when you're watching it, there's never enough time for the promise of how long it took them to give you the shows, right? There's never enough. There's never enough content in those 8 to 9 episodes that justified the 2-year wait that I had to do, right? And then sometimes there's stuff that happens in those shows where you're like, oh man, if this is the direction they're going in, that's going to be really great. And then by the time you get to episode 7, and you realize, no, they're not. They're just gonna fight another Demogorgon, and then it's all gonna end, and then we're gonna end on another cliffhanger, and then like probably 2028 we'll get another season, and then we'll see what's going on by then. So I don't know. Look, I enjoy watching the show. No one's going to be able to convince me that it makes sense how long the time dilation is between seasons. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it's just getting longer. Now, I understand COVID is the culprit for this one. But if it was year to year, all the way up until this, then I would be forgiving. But no.
That was tonight's Rogue Rage, Stranger Things 4, brought to you by somebody. Pretty soon. We're getting a sponsor for you, Hassan. How would that feel? Would it feel great to have a sponsor? Like, be like brought to you by Pepsi?
No. I'm not a corporate stooge.
That's all we are, aren't we? What
do you mean we, white man?
When we come back, are we corporate stooges? Are we total sellouts? The answer is, of course, yes. That's not the tease. The tease is we have a new Marvel movie to talk about. It is definitely controversial. It is definitely doing things that are a little bit differently, but the question always remains, is it any good? When we come back, we talk Marvel's Eternals. But first, go to roguematter.com. We have a brand new giveaway supporting Rogue artists. If you're a sneaker aficionado, you're going to love this one. One lucky winner will win a custom pair of artistic sneakers designed by Rogue artist Elijah Rutland over at FitMySole, FITMYSOLE on Instagram. Check out his profile. You'll see his amazing artwork. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely really awesome. He does a lot of really cool custom sneakers. The one we're showing is this Thor one that's pretty cool. I'm not a sneakerhead myself, but definitely for folks that are and folks who are fans of all the stuff that we do, I think it makes total sense to go over to roguematter.com, fill out the giveaway form on the front page, and also be sure to support Elijah by following him on social media at FitMySole. Rogue Matter is all about finding and supporting rogue artists. Elijah is a true rogue. welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. We've got a Rogue review for Eternals coming up right now. Got to tell you,
you brain fart just now.
I did. I did actually. I did. Well, because we were talking, and then I had to.
Something's going on.
I had to think on my feet very quickly, and
I know we're about to talk about something. I just don't know what. All right, go ahead.
that actually might accurately sum up this movie for me. So, spoilers, first of all, if anybody hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah, well,
obviously we are going to talk about it. So, stay and just put us on mute. We need the views. So, we're always, if we're going to ever get that sponsor for Hassan's Rogue Rage, we need the views as much as possible. So, all right. First off, got to tell you,
only they were funny. That's all.
This was 3 out of 10 makes the Hall of Fame. This was a big swing for Marvel, right? I'm gonna get the positives out of the way for this.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's what we're not going to do in the review, right? You're not going to make a statement about things and say right. You're just going to tell me how you feel, and then I'm gonna decide whether I agree or disagree with you. All right? Do not include me in whatever roasting you're about to do of whatever movie, because you do this all the time. It's like, this movie sucked, right? You understand that, right? You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with that, right?
I just don't see how any human being would disagree with me.
Yeah, well, that's I think you don't see a lot. That's my attitude. So go ahead.
That's fair. Now here's the thing. I will sit there and tell you, I did not like the movie, to use the double negative on purpose.
Yeah. You did that on purpose.
No, I did that on purpose because, again, it's a level, right? It's a level of...
You brain farted in the introduction of the movie, but I'm supposed to believe you did a double negative on purpose?
Because I didn't brain fart when I said a double negative. I said a not on purpose. Like I didn't even give you the time to think about whether it was a brain fart or not.
You're trying to do a sharp recovery, but all right.
No. That was purpose. That was purpose.
Yeah. Okay. Double negatives on purpose. Gotcha.
Double negative on purpose because again, I did not like the movie. I thought it was a big swing from Marvel. I thought that there's a lot of things. First Marvel sex scene. We never had a sex scene. That was true. That was something different. Didn't feel like it was a good place for it, but whatever. They're shooting for the fences.
Oh, okay. No,
you had the first Marvel same-sex kiss, so that was pretty big. Swinging for the fences. And in general, you had a massive story with a lot to digest about characters that are so obscure that, I mean, look, everyone I think in our business who writes and or draws and or loves comics and is a comic historian, right?
Yeah.
Knows Jack Kirby. And so there is but that is the length.
Yeah, but the Eternals is a very obscure.
Yes.
I mean, yes, I agree with you, but it's one of his more obscure titles.
Absolutely. So in that sense, they really swung big. Guardians of the Galaxy is the comp to this, in a sense of taking obscure characters, but Guardians of the Galaxy had a successful run under Jim Valentino in the 90s. It had another well-received miniseries, which is what they actually based the movie off of, by Mark Miller in the 2000s. So the Eternals, it's not like Mark Miller or Brian Michael Bendis resurrected the Eternals in the 2000s, and we have a modern, comp for it that we can, base the movie off some sort of source material. They really just basically said, hey, we have this property, the Eternals. It was done in the 60s. At the end, I take my dad to all the movies that we go and see, and at the end, I essentially asked him, I asked him a bunch about the movie, and he's like, "Well, I guess that was how it was." He was talking about how they mashed up all of the gods and what the gods' names, and he's like, Cersei was spelled with an S in this because he saw the credits, and Athena is supposed to be Athena, but it's not. It's Athena.
Yeah, Icarus. Everything was spelled differently.
And he basically kind of said, he goes, well, I guess that's how it was done in the comics. And I literally said to him, I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. Like, I know Cersei as a character from West Coast Avengers. I don't know if it's one and the same. I don't know if it's the same, Cersei we're going to see. Cersei was bald in the comics, and she's clearly not bald. So I don't know if it's the same one. So there was nothing to really ground it. So in this sense, I think this is the biggest swing Marvel has taken so far.
Gotcha.
Do you agree or disagree with that?
We're not at my part yet.
Well,
I'm
you
listening.
can come in at any point.
I'm not going to disagree nor agree or disagree with you.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree and then disagree and then disagree again. But no, I'm like, what do you think? Like, let's get to the.
That's the positive that I have for it. That they took big swings.
That was a positive. They took big swings. And
I applaud them for doing it. I applaud them for making a movie that
wasn't really a positive. You said that the sex scene was misplaced. You said
like
everything you said that was positive.
No, I was just pointing out that they took big swings. They didn't always hit, but they took the big swings, and I applaud them for that. I applaud them for a movie that deviated, in my mind, enough from the quote-unquote Marvel formula. It still had it. Don't get me wrong. But it didn't have it to the point where there was not as much humor as you might find in another Marvel movie. Again, it was an epic storyline. It was almost very, Game of Thrones meets Guardians of the Galaxy in that sense of, lineage and bloodlines. And I mean, it's not a great comparison, but they had two characters from Game of Thrones.
What did you think of the film, Michael?
I'm getting to it.
Yeah, I know. You're taking the whole segment.
Positives. Overall, though, I thought it was a disposable film. I thought by the end of it, I didn't fall asleep like my dad. My dad actually fell asleep during half of it. I basically just watched a 3-hour trailer for Black Knight and the West Coast Avengers. Is the way I felt by the end of it.
What was it supposed to be?
And well, I thought that it missed on a lot of the on what it was trying to do. I thought ultimately the part that you would think was the hardest to get, which is all the the godlike and the exposition stuff in terms of setting up, was actually kind of the easiest to follow. It wasn't that difficult to follow. I know I read some reviews where the plot was super convoluted. It wasn't. The problem was the characters were their motivations were never grounded. Like all of a sudden, midway through, Sprite is in love with Richard Madden's Icarus, and I'm kind of like, okay, all right. I mean, I know the only hint of that was at the beginning of the film when she had spent time, which you don't see, you just hear through a third-party conversation that Kit Harington is having, that, oh, Sprite told me you're an Eternal, and Sprite told me this, and Sprite told me that you had this, and Sprite then kind of has a conversation. But there was in no way, shape, or form a suggestion of she's in love with Icarus. Now, her character at the end... It made sense because they did set that up, at least at the beginning, that she can't age, and so she's obviously kind of done with this. But even that kind of fell flat by the end to me because they mixed it in with the Icarus stuff. Icarus, again, spoilers if you haven't seen the film, his motivations. It was one of those things where at the end he kind of makes a decision to go against everything he's doing, which... And I'm trying to do this in a kind of spoiler-free way, so that's kind of why I'm being ambiguous.
It's too late. You have spoiled quite a bit, so just.
I know,
go.
But all right, I'll go full spoilerage in this. Well, should I go? Yeah, I'll go. All right. Well, he kind of at the end, like he turns on them, but then he does. But then it's at this point, it's like, dude, you've done so much. Really, at this point, you've killed your mother figure in a very callous, in a very like cold-blooded way. But you're gonna balk at killing your lover, which I guess I get. I'm like, all right, it kind of, but even him kind of turning.
All right,
what's that?
I'm keep going. I said all right, so.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't hear what you said. That's why I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I balked at his. He kind of went back and forth. Like I'm sitting there saying, all right, if you were going to turn on these guys, he was doing it to keep them busy with the deviants. And now don't get me started on the deviants. The deviants turned out to be useless, absolutely useless in this movie. They built up the one deviant to come in and be like, wow, he's absorbing powers. And I'm sitting there at the end of Act 2 into Act 3 where it's like, all right, they're going to have to find that deviant and they're going to have to work with him because he's the only thing that's going to stop them or stop Icarus now. I'm like, all right, this makes total sense. And what happens? The deviant just shows up and starts killing him for no reason. You're sitting there going, well, but wait, they're even showing, they're like, I think, what's his name? Brian Tyree Henry's Fastos even says, he's like, we're stopping Icarus from stop, we're going to save it. And the deviant's like, I don't care. I'm going to kill you guys. It's like, whoa, then what the hell was the point of you? Except to maybe see Angelina Jolie, which was also very disappointing. The fact that they neutered the one character that I think where I'm looking forward to the actress really having a role in this, and she just was useless in this entire movie. Even at the end, she kills the one thing that I thought was maybe they set up was going to be the thing that stops it. What a disappointment. What a disappointment. So again, swinging for the fence is amazing. Setting up something that could have been huge, but because the execution was from the character level to me. Oh, and what's his face? Just to add to this, Kingo's character, Kumail Nanjiani. He's like, I'm sitting this one out. What? Like, I'm waiting for him to come in and play like at least like a Han Solo role. But no, he literally sat out the entire final battle. Why? Why would you? You're going to die. Like, why would you sit out on the sidelines and not at least because it was too difficult to make a decision? Oh my God! Like, well, then what's he doing back there? What's he doing back in India? That, I mean, he didn't have a family to go back to. I could understand that part, being like, well, we're all going to die, and I accept this fate, so I'm going to go spend time with my family. No, he's... So things like this where I'm sitting there going like, man, oh man, this really could have been a really cool movie. Instead, it turned into a 3-hour trailer for Black Knight.
Okay, so you didn't like it.
I did not like it, but I did not like it.
You did not like it?
I didn't not like it, but I didn't like it. That's why I gave you the double negative.
Yeah, I know. Didn't make any sense then. Doesn't make any sense now, but okay. All right.
My point being
Fair
is
enough.
I didn't hate this movie. I wasn't
Really?
not entertained,
Really?
but it ultimately failed. So that's why I sit there and say, you know what?
I don't know. I
like
all
some of the
right.
special effects. I thought Icarus shooting, like he looked like, it got me jazzed up for a Superman movie. Because it's like, wow, you could really do some really cool things with special effects wise. The battle scenes were kind of cool. Seeing, sometimes it's just mindless and it's fun to watch really cool CGI and in a big theater with the loud sound, with the ground shaking when things are happening. So, I was like, all right, that was
Okay.
that entertained me. It, my feeble, my feeble infant brain was entertained. My Hulk brain was entertained by the smashy. So again, I didn't walk away being like, wow, this movie was the worst thing I've ever seen. But it wasn't. But it wasn't good. It had the promise. It felt I was disappointed.
Okay. Gotcha. Understood.
Because it ultimately didn't fulfill what it set up that it could have been.
Understood.
So,
All right.
that's my
I'm
take.
sorry you didn't like it.
I was disappointed by it.
You won't even commit to whether you thought it was bad or good, right? You just want to have it all both ways.
No, well, because again, I that's why I started out by saying it. I appreciate them swinging for the fences. I appreciate that. It's one thing if you come out and you just kind of trying to give us the same, like if this was just a typical Marvel movie and that was the result, I'd be like, wow, that was really terrible. But I look at it and go, ah, man, I give a level of credit and I give a level of like benefit of the doubt because what they were trying to do is not easy to do. And the irony to it, of course, is that they failed at a level
the bottom
that
line
they
is
should have
whether
done.
the bottom line is just whether you liked it or not, right?
Yeah, it was okay.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Well done.
What about you?
It's I look, it's a subdued movie. It's very laid back. It's very calm.
Mm-hmm.
But I did think that the action sequences, when there was action, I thought the action sequences were really kinetic and really, like intriguing or whatever. I did like the characters. There was some underdevelopment there in those characters. I know that there are as many of those. It's like, what are there, like 7 or 8 of them? I know that those are but maybe we could have dropped 1 or 2 of them, so that you could focus maybe a little more on Icarus or Cersei.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely on Sprite, you know,
Yeah.
like if that's going to be the big turnaround. Um, but no, I thought I enjoyed it. You know, I thought I was fine with it. I enjoyed the fact it was laid back. I enjoyed the fact that, you know, like it kind of started in medias res, you know, in the fact that you know, all this is happening and we're going to have to catch up to it. We're going to have to catch up to whatever these characters knew.
But that's a good point, though. And I actually agree with you. I liked the historical scenes and the backstory. I enjoyed that part of learning how they were intertwined in humanities.
Flipping back and forth. You know, that was really good. You know, nobody had to come of age. Nobody had to come into their own and a realization. Maybe Cersei a little bit after Ajax died, but you know, that not by too much, right? I thought the resolution was pretty plausible. I enjoyed that. I also thought that the visual of that celestial coming out of half of the earth was just, you know, I thought the visuals were amazing. I think it, like you said, it took like some really heavy swings. I think it hit more than it missed. I do think it missed in some ways. I think the humor was a little forced. Banter's very difficult between characters, and when you're doing that Whedon-esque quip stuff every time someone says something, you know, I really wish people would get away from that, because very few people can do that correctly. You know, very few people can write that to any level of credibility. And I also think it's a very bad device. I think it's a very bad interconnected, you know, interactive device between characters anyway, personally. That's my personal thing. I have not been shy about how I feel about that. So we don't have to relitigate that. But no, I really enjoyed it. I expected much worse because I heard a whole bunch of stuff and I was able to follow it and I was able to understand it. You know, it probably would have been a better television show.
Oh, absolutely. I thought the exact same thing.
They could have definitely taken their time to, you know, to elaborate on some things and to really let other things unfold.
Jolie's character, which I thought was
but
so
basically I didn't really have a problem with it whatsoever. I thought it was a really solid film. I thought it was another good. I mean, look, the Black Knight, I get it, but that's the format of the MCU. You know, like if I didn't know anything about the MCU and this movie had just come out, I would have been there for the battle between them and the Deviants, for the battle of the awakening and them trying to stop the emergence of the you know, that's what I would have been there for. So I try and I understand it's difficult to kind of separate the intent from whatever the MCU has made promises over the years. But I do try to just like, no, this is pretty good. I enjoyed this. You know, this is pretty spectacular.
Do you
think?
I know I'm thinking about my question here.
You can't do that.
I'm not. I'm not allowed.
Get on top of it. Come on, get on.
Do you think that it is more enjoyable when they can take these kind of obscure characters? Because the mid-credit scene, just to discuss one thing with Eros and Pip,
Star Fox.
Yeah,
Star Fox.
That to me, it's weird. You know, it's like I'm even stretching my knowledge at this point. I was like, oh,
yeah, Thanos' brother.
What's that?
Yeah,
Thanos' brother. I kind of remember who these guys are.
But that's the thing. Like, these things are supposed to introduce you. I mean, it's okay if you don't know, right? It's okay because it's going to tell you. You know, eventually that's going to get fleshed out. But that's my point,
though. I don't think this one did. I don't think it did its job in the sense of, you know, these are obscure characters, so you got to do a better job of telling me, and they didn't. Like, I don't think they. But
I mean, it's an end credit scene, so there's not going to be a lot of information they're going to be able to give you anyway.
I don't mean about that. I mean, I'm talking about the actual Eternals movie. It's right. Like, this is the Eternals movie is exactly.
Right. You're jumping around because you referenced that end credit scene.
No, I know.
Okay, so never mind. Okay.
But my point being is
trying to keep up.
My point being is, how excited can I be for these end credit scenes showing more obscure characters that I barely know, when now the execution to me on that exact concept.
Maybe you don't. You know, like, maybe like if it doesn't do anything for you,
right,
then it didn't do anything for you, you know? It's not like maybe, I mean, yeah, sure, they failed you, you know, but I mean,
But
maybe it's
isn't that
also
all that
because
matters?
maybe it's because it didn't do anything for you. It didn't reach you.
Right.
Maybe you've reached your limit with this level of storytelling. Now I'm not even talking about the MCU. I'm just saying, maybe the Eternals, you don't love it. It's
I
okay.
like the concept of it, though. I do.
Yeah,
I
I
like,
know.
again, I like that they're swinging for the fences. I like
But I mean,
that.
the questions you're asking, right? If you're saying like, well, like if I don't know these things and I don't know what's going on with it, and then if you're saying like, if you saw that entire movie
Yeah.
and all those sequences and all that beauty that was in it, and your biggest reaction was it was a big trailer for another movie,
Right.
for a character that was in it for maybe 15 minutes in total,
Yeah.
then it wasn't for you.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're wrong, but it's just like if the rest of the stuff wasn't enough to keep you intrigued,
Yeah.
then it wasn't that whole storyline wasn't for you.
No, but again,
That's another
you're
possibility.
using the
It's
word
not,
storyline. Actually, again, I like the storyline. I like I because
but it didn't.
using Guardians of the Galaxy as a comp, right? The
Yeah, but I mean,
celestial, spacefaring Marvel stuff. I've actually enjoyed the spacefaring Marvel stuff, like the
no,
stuff with what's that?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, this wasn't even really in space.
No,
Like this wasn't even that. Is
right?
what I'm saying. This wasn't the Guardians of the Galaxy by any stretch of the
No,
imagination, right? Yeah. So I mean, like I'm saying, I mean, if you're using the Guardians of the Galaxy as a template, then you're probably going to get disappointed when they completely deviate from that format,
yeah.
right? So there's that could be one of your problems with it.
Let me ask you a question, and just keeping in
There,
line with the brand. Was there anything rogue about this film, or what? Or if yes, what was the one rogue element to this?
I don't even know. Like, how are you using rogue, right? In which way?
Deviates from the script. The elephant that runs away from the herd. The does things in an unexpected fashion.
Yeah, I mean, I I just I think that if we're dealing with giant gods, if we're dealing with the earth as a seed for a giant god, and these immortal heroes have been on earth for 7,000 years to try to either help the egg hatch,
Mm-hmm.
the earth hatch, or decide to stop it from hatching because they've been on earth so long that they're in love with the planet.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not that's a that you don't think that's rogue, you don't think that's a
Oh,
you don't think the concept is high concept, as far as high concept, as
yeah.
far as the MCU is concerned. It's not, it's not the stars my destination or anything like that, but I'm saying it's, you don't consider that.
Oh, I do.
So all right, so there you go.
I do. I'm just merely keeping us in line with our brand, so we get sponsors. That
Dead air.
was the Rogue something or other, sponsored by somebody eventually. ABS, baby. Always be selling.
Yeah,
Always be selling.
we need to do a poll of how many people like actually watch us for your humor.
No one
I'm
does.
interested to see what the
No one does.
percentage
My
of
humor
that
keeps
is.
me entertained.
I hope
And
so.
therefore keeps the show going.
I hope so.
It definitely does. All right. What did you guys think? Go out and see Eternals. Oh, what was your theater experience like? I always like asking that question because I just want to know.
It was fine. I sat in the back.
Oh, good.
I've learned. I no longer interact with the other members of the species.
I always go in the
Much better than
afternoons,
that way.
because I don't have a life at night anymore, and so there's barely anybody in the theater. Like even for popular, even like
No,
for Shang-Chi.
this theater was packed though. I was really surprised. I was upset. I was disappointed because I did the same thing. But I mean, they started over here. They start the movie at 2:30. There's no 11 o'clock in the morning or anything like that where you could go. So
Yeah, I have to go to a different theater that I normally would go to get the earlier showing.
yeah, and that
And that's
just
just
wasn't,
the life we live in right now. So
unfortunately.
next up is gonna be Ghostbusters. That I'm really looking forward to. Ghostbusters Afterlife.
More power to you.
Yeah. That one, I think it's gonna be pretty good. All right, what do you guys think?
Never
Was this
learn.
rogue enough for you? This movie, did it break? Did it swing big? And did it connect? or was it just typical Marvel fare? Comment in the YouTube comments.
And why
section.
should we care how you feel? Also, answer that question. That's a good
Because we
question.
care about our audience.
No, we don't. Really.
That's how we're going to get sponsors.
We don't care.
We genuinely care. And this has been a
I
great
don't
show tonight.
I couldn't care less.
When we come back, our Rogue Report of the week. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. Real quick, want to give a Rogue Report. First thing, what is the Rogue Report? It is everything that's going on roguematter.com. The good news for everyone is that everything we talk about here, you can go read and check out for free on the website. That's comics, that's podcasts, that's videos. This week we have Key to the City number 3. It is a story of Andy, who wakes up every morning at 6 a.m. in New York City and asks themselves 3 questions, always the same 3 questions. Where am I? Who am I? And what is my mission today? Andy must think fast because there's always a reason Andy is here in this room, in this body, on this day. And he is there to complete a mission to help New Yorkers. It is a love letter to New York City. It is confined to the boroughs of Manhattan, which is a lot of fun. I wrote issue 2. Issue 3 is out right now. It is a story of Cooper. And it is basically waking in the body of an 11-year-old makes a mission more difficult for Andy. Tasked with stopping a single mother from making a huge mistake, how is Andy supposed to be taken seriously and manipulate events wearing Batman underwear? This is from Sternberg and Sanchez. Sebastian Sanchez did all of the digital artwork for the book. Go check it out. It's free. roguematter.com. Terrific show. I want to thank all of our sponsors for tonight's wonderful show. Next week, we've got a great guest next week, actually, by the way. Do you want to know who the guest is?
Another great guest, right? Do we ever have any bad guests?
No, usually our guests are pretty solid. I'm not going to lie. They're all generally pretty good.
So isn't telling us that we have a great guest, isn't that a redundancy? Just in general?
Not at
if all
all.
of them are great? Okay, I'm just checking.
No, not at all. I think it's just a testament.
Well, I mean, if they're all great, then telling us it's great.
We have a professor from Columbia University coming on who wrote a history of comics.
It's like saying cold ice water, It's like it's redundancy. It's like doesn't make any sense, right? So we have a professor. We're gonna have a professor on. Are you gonna be intimidated mentally?
Oh, never. Because I don't.
Because you're delusional.
Right. I don't consider myself at the level of a professor anyway.
All right, fair enough.
Actually,
see.
He should be intimidated because he's coming on into our territory. So that's the whole purpose of having a show, right? It's to bring people into our domain.
I don't think professors, occupationally get intimidated anymore once they've reached professor status.
Are you
I don't
sure?
think they. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think they suffer that fate anymore.
They don't care at that point?
I don't know if they care. I just don't think they're not concerned about it. They don't suffer the ailment. Personally, that's what I think.
We'll have to ask them.
I'm not going to ask him that. You can ask him that. I'm gonna sit by dutifully and watch the entire thing and nod every now and then so everybody knows I'm still alive.
Well, I think everyone knows. Well, actually, if you sit by and don't do anything, people don't know if you're actually alive.
That's why you nod. You go, oh, that sounds good. That's very good. Good point, Michael. Well done.
Jeremy Dauber is a professor of Jewish literature and American studies at Columbia University. His previous publications include Jewish comedy in the worlds of Shalom Achlam, both finalists for the National Jewish Book Award and the young adult novel Mayhem and Madness. He will be on talking about his new book, all about the history of comics. Pretty exciting.
Awesome. Okay.
Look at that.
That is pretty awesome guest.
And then in 2 weeks, we'll do Ghostbusters. It's a win all around.
If we're still here.
Have a great night. We will see you all next week. Rogue Wave.